Re a leboga kudu-kudu go ba mo, and also to be in this beautiful province. As the Premier of our province said, indeed, Limpopo is a beautiful province, but this part of Limpopo is also most beautiful because it is a very productive part of Limpopo. This, Batbayesu, is indeed a great day for the community of Tafelkop, for the people of Limpopo, and indeed for our people in South Africa. Because today we are witnessing a community's dream coming true and being fulfilled. It is a dream that they've had for a long time to own their land, to farm their own land, and to make it commercially successful. Mamuta Harinsa the title Didite, we will be saying, yes, indeed, Jerry and all your other fellow farmers, your land is back today. We know that you've had a vision for many, many years, but we've also had a vision as government to harness land development and to make sure that the land leads to the upliftment of our people and also leads to their economic prosperity. It has been a vision for this community, and they've spent 25 years fighting to see that this dream that they've had is realized. Would like to thank them for their patience, would like to thank them for their courage, because over these years they have not sat back, they have stood on their own feet and fought for this land, and the land that you have fought for in the various ways you did fight for is now back, and we are happy. Your land is indeed back. And in many ways, the promise of the Freedom Charter has come true for this community, that the land shall be shared amongst those who work it. The handover of the title deeds that we are going to effect today to the members of the Tafelkop Farmers Association marks a milestone in a long journey. It began, as we heard from Minister DeLille, in the year 2000, when the Department of Agriculture first entered into lease agreements with farmers under the land redistribution through the Agricultural Development Program. Back then, farming output in this community was still small. It was a paltry 5 tons or 6 tons a year. Now, as you've heard, this tonnage has now increased to about 60 tons, and it's just going to go up and up and up from these very 30 farmers who we are giving title deeds to today. And we applaud them, and we celebrate them, and we thank them for their patience. Now, today, their land that they are going to get in the form of title deeds is worth more than 25 million rand. Now, this is economic value that they are being handed, that they are being given by their own government. And I want to thank Jerry, because he said once freedom was achieved, they knew that their land was going to come back. Now, the history of this place is a very sad history, because the people of this area occupied this land and they were moved, forcibly moved, and the land was given to white farmers who had been soldiers in the war, and they were given bicycles and overcoats. Ba filwe di-bicycle le dijase. Ha ba bang ba ne ba fiwa lefatshe. And the unfairness and the iniquity that was committed here is what we are putting right today. It has taken time, but finally we are putting right what was done wrong a number of years ago. Now, the pleasing thing is that the 30 farmers who are now going to get their title deeds today have been farming. They have been using their own money, they have been using all their own means, and they even built their own pack house. They've been farming with tobacco, with cotton, with vegetables that we see here right in front of us, real wonderful vegetables that are in demand, the cabbage, the beetroot, the namune, and the squash, the branjeli, tse se jewang ke batho ba dulang ko ditoropong tse kgolo, le di butternuts, and so on. But the most pleasing thing for me today was to be able to meet the farmers themselves. And amongst the farmers to see there are women farmers. And I kept asking each one, each one said, yes, I do farm, and I farm with my own hands, and I have employed people to work for me on my piece of land. And Ntengwe Tabisang, which is most pleasing, is that much as their farm area is small, 189 hectares, they are producing real wonderful produce that goes to our markets, that even goes for export. Babang, they are very proud for some of their produce goes as far afield as Mozambique, as far afield as France, as far afield as a number of countries. And these are not emerging farmers. They are real, serious farmers. And Babambabona, there are 3 of them who become Farmers of the Year at one stage or another. And Omongwabona Kimme Oileng Aba, a Farmer of the Year, and even went to the United States to go and see how they farm there. Aba buza how do we farm in South Africa? Aba leseo se aba rutileng sona kwa America. Mewaruna ohonamu. So we have a lot to be proud about, that we have a group of farmers here in this area who have taken to farming very seriously, and I want to thank them for their resilience, for their determination, because they are an inspiration to all of us. They are an inspiration to farmers all over the country. They are inspiration to young farmers. They are also an inspiration to those who want to start working the land. Because they wake up every morning, they work their land, and they produce food for our country, they make a profit, and they look after their children and their households. There's a total of 32 households who are supported by this land, and the farming activities also provide employment for some 128 permanent workers, but they also employ seasonal workers, and up to 320 of them. So this is serious farming operations. This land is the community's most valuable asset, and now it is officially yours. You will now be able to use it, to use this land where value has been trapped, where you were not able to utilize the value of the land that you've been working on. You will now be able to go to secure loans. You will now be able to go and get water rights so that you can water your produce, so that your production can go higher and higher. You'll also now be able to enter into long-term contracts. Le tla kgona gore le ilo bua le bao ba ga kgonang go reka the vegetables tsa lena and everything you produce on a long-term contract basis, so that you no longer depend on short-term contracts, but you will now have long-term contracts. And we are very grateful, Hore, you've also been able to demonstrate that you are serious farmers. You were telling me that you keep records, daily records of your own produce, the fertilizer you use, the chemicals that you use, and the land space that you use for your produce. That to me demonstrates, Hore, indeed here we are dealing with real serious farmers. Now, the prospects of the agricultural sector provides an opportunity for great things that we can do together with our people. As we return the land, we now know that there are many of our people who want to work the land. And the Tafelkop Farmers Association has demonstrated that for us. And we therefore want to encourage as many of our people as possible to get into agriculture, because agriculture is one of those sectors that we have set up to grow the economy of our country. But we want to grow it as we deal with the issues of land dispossession, as we deal with the theft of the land that took place, as we resolve the problem of forced removals that the people of our country were subjected to. We have not forgotten the harsh legacy of farming here in Limpopo, where farm dwellers were forced to be labor tenants on their forefathers' land. And it also happened here, where after our people were moved so that the white soldiers who returned from the Second World War could be given land, they were then forced to become labor tenants on their forefathers' land. And they were not allowed to own the land to feed their families or graze their own animals. We have not forgotten the terrible exploitation and abuse of black farm workers in this province that took place many years ago. We have also not forgotten the apartheid farm labor scheme, which forced those who were guilty of petty offenses to work on white-owned farms so as to avoid a jail sentence. We also recall how the apartheid government supported white farmers with equipment, technical support, and access to credit to build their businesses. All these other big commercial farms that we see around us here were built because the apartheid government supported all these farmers. It is now time for us to support our own farmers, and today we are celebrating those. Today is a celebration, but it is also a commitment that we make. We're making a commitment as government as we want to upscale the agricultural sector, that Harale Fadi title deeds dinner, we are not going to walk away. We are going to walk this journey with you, and we're going to give you the support you need, because we've seen with our own eyes that you are serious farmers and you want to become big commercial farmers, and we will give you the necessary agricultural support. Dade Jerry even said that ahuna the extension services mona. Minister Didiza has had all that. She's going to be bringing in 10,000 extension farmers, and in no time babambabona bata babalimo, and asiba bata ring bailo kwala di exam, asiba bata tsabang halibatloka. They will be here all the time helping you to make your farming operations work. Now, we did say that we are serious about land reform. We did say that we are going to redistribute land. The governing party took a very clear decision on the issue of land reform and redistribution. And we are in the process of implementing precisely the decisions that have been taken by the governing party. To date, government has redistributed over 5 million hectares of land, totaling around 5,500 farms, to more than 300,000 beneficiaries. So far, land redistribution process has benefited over 2 million land claimants and resulted in the transfer of around 2.7 million hectares. Land reform isn't just in the interest of redress, isn't just about healing the pain of the past, isn't just about making sure that what happened in the past is corrected. It is not just about justice, it is also about economic development. Agriculture and the agricultural value chain can and must transform our economy, particularly here in the rural areas. Through the Economic Reconstruction and Recovery Plan, we are developing the agricultural sector and making it more inclusive so that it can play an even greater role in driving inclusive growth. Here in Hasikukuni, agricultural development forms part of the district development plan. The transfer of this state land is part of our nationwide process to speed up land reform. Our constitution obliges us as a state to take reasonable legislative and other measures within our own available resources to facilitate equitable access to land. The release of state-owned land is one of the recommendations of the Presidential Advisory Panel on Land Reform. Last year, we announced that 529 hectares of state land would be released. The land reform process has been beset by many challenges. One of those, the management of farm leases, is another issue, which Dade Jerry also spoke about. But this was highlighted by Minister Togo Didiza in her budget speech recently in Parliament. In recent months, we have had to respond to complaints from several black farmers, and they have been talking about the weaknesses of the implementation of our policies, particularly when it comes to leasing of the land that they have been given by government. And we are looking very closely at the efficacy of this policy. And as we do so, we are listening very carefully to what our existing farmers are saying. The Tafelkop Farmers Association have told us that the most workable model is where our black farmers are given land and they have their own title deeds. so that they are then able to go and raise capital to improve their working of their farms. And so we are listening to this. This often is a problem when you lease land. We are forging ahead with the process of amending Section 25 of the Constitution to enable land expropriation without compensation, all the while ensuring that we improve agricultural output and expand the property rights of all South Africans. There is currently public participation processes that are ongoing around the expropriation bill, which outlines the circumstances under which land may be expropriated, both with and without compensation. Now, over the next financial year, we will establish a land and agrarian reform agency that is going to help us to fast-track land reform. Now, all this demonstrates the focus that we are now having on land reform. We're looking at how effective our past policies have been, our current policies, but we're also looking at practical situations born out of the experience of black farmers like those in Tafelkop here. And so we are gaining a lot of information, and we are going to urgently address this issue of land reform. Yes, we will also be looking very urgently at issues of service delivery, the challenges that we have in our communities. We heard Rukile Hore, Metsi ha hona mo. Water is not being well delivered. Water supply problems have endured in various parts of Hasikukuni, affecting health and livelihoods, but also farming. Now, there are many reasons why we are in this situation. Some of them have been, yes, the water resource is a major challenge in our country, but another one is maladministration, and another one is corruption in the delivery of services. And this we have to root out. So as we work to solve all these problems, we are forging ahead with the land reform process. We are forging ahead to correct what we have not done well. But the Tafelkop Farmers Association is a model association that has demonstrated to us that, one, they have confidence in our ability as government to deliver. Two, they have demonstrated their own patience. And three, they have also not sat on their own laurels. They have stood up on their own feet, and they have worked the land even with all the restrictions and constraints that they have had. So we applaud them, and I especially want to applaud them because they have struggled. They have been involved in the struggle to make sure that this land does return to them. And so they've joined the great leaders who have fought for the freedom of our country, who have fought for our land. Leaders such as Mokhosi Tulare, Sikwati and Sikukuni, who fought many heroic wars against land dispossession. And during the liberation struggle, we also had a number of activists that came from here. So, Dade Jerry, you are carrying on with the tradition, the rich tradition that resides here, Hasikukun, where we've had Mahoshi Arena who fought, but where we have had activists who fought, Bachanang, Baetapele, Barina Bacharalibo, Date Elias Mutsaledi. Nelson Diale, Oraya Maleka, Flag Bushielo, Lentate Pokanuka, and many others. And some of them are sitting here today who joined the struggle and suffered immensely. So Mereko Arena, Wahore, Rilukise Lefacilela Arena, Utswellapele. We are working to put right what went wrong, yes, in the apartheid years, but what also went wrong during our own tenure, but we're working very hard to ensure that we restore this land and everything that has to go with it, from the land to service delivery to good governance and everything that our people need. We are working to restore all that. And we do this in tribute to those who led us, who resided here amongst us. Land reform is a key to growing the agricultural sector here in Hasikukuni and also in Limpopo. It is an important step towards bolstering our nation's food security, and it is also about building an inclusive economy. I know for Premier Arena, the MEC Zahage, they are focusing, including our municipalities, they are focusing on growing the economy not only of this province but of this area as well, and of our municipal areas as well, because it is about providing a better future for the people of this area and our country. So I call on every one of us, let us all work together. We now can move forward. We've got an economic recovery plan that we are implementing, and what we are doing today in handing over this land is part of that whole plan. It's part of seeking to make a meaningful contribution to the growth of our economy. Minister Togo Didiza will be back. Utabuamu, Nerelebeleti Pack House, and we have already seen what should be done in the Pack House. Reliquile Buti, where you want more land, and we have agreed for Santo Redie land audit. Ya Honambo. Relebele Buti, what is happening with the land that used to belong to our forebears, and what should we do going forward? You need extension officers. You need the support, but we also will be coming up with programs that support, and the support must not only be one term. It must be a support not for 1 year, but for 2 years and for 3 years. For a labor for support effective so that you can stand on your own 2 feet. Your production has gone way beyond 60 tons. I want to hear that your production has gone to 240 tons, because it is possible for you to be able to do that. Muomo is very fertile soil, and you are now farming with crops that you can cycle maybe 2 or 3 times a year. Oliphant River is sepelamo. Metsi a askaba metsi a tlabang a nosetsa dipolasi tsa ba basweu fela. A tshwanetse gore a nosetse le dipolasi tsa lena. You as black farmers must also get that land. So I now want to see Tafelkop Limpopo, the real, meaningful and live experiment, living experiment. Yarina, but maybe more than an experiment, a living model, a real living model of how black farmers, women farmers and men farmers can work the land and produce greater products. Sentabisang haholo lo feta. Kile ka botsa ntate Jerry ka re a le lwane na. A re no re feditše go lwana a re sa lwana bjale. Re a kwana. So I was very pleased to hear that gore there is working together. Each one of you works your land, but you cooperate in the infrastructure that supports all of you, with the tractors, with the pack house, with the marketing and all that. We want to see a great success of this area. Ke tla batla go boa, Premier, I will want to come back here. Ka bane le nna ke molemi. I will want to come back ke tlo bona gore a na tswelopele e gona na. We are going to focus on this area to make sure that you succeed as well as you should. Today, for me, has been the best day in the office. The best day in the office. Gore ke sepele mo, ke sepele diplaseng tsa lena, to kick the soil, to kick the dust, and to see your produce. The only regret ko ra ke a bona dikgomo. Ka bane nna ke lema ka dikgomo, a ke a di bona dikgomo tsa manaka a magolo a makana. Next time ke tla tlisa le kgomo ha ke bona gore le successful ka mmereko wa lona. Ke a leboga.